So it has a brew. I don't know why I'm slurping this, actually, because it's quite cold now. I've also spilt it, bloody all over my desk as well. Festive chai tea from Whittard's, because I still have some kicking around. I looked in my box of stuff, because when I moved back here, back in with my parents, I had this box of food that was kicking about, and it's still in there. So I've now sort of looked through it, and I found some festive chai tea, which I'm now currently drinking. I also bought some Stollen the other day as well, which is obviously a Christmassy kind of cake with marzipan and stuff in, because I really fancied it. Not too keen for the mince pies just yet, but I'm getting in quite a Christmassy mood. This usually happens every year. I usually get in a Christmassy mood end of October, then through November, and then like a bit at the beginning of December, and then after that, like the week leading up to Christmas, I just don't care about it, and they're like, oh, well, this is really depressing. And then when Christmas actually happens, when Christmas Day happens, it's like, oh yeah, great, and it's, you know, fantastic. So so there we go. I'm also wearing my Wally top today, which is a QWERTY special, of course, because I couldn't really. I've got so many t-shirts. I've got ridiculous amounts of t-shirts, and I'm trying to find like a new one every time I do a brew time. I don't want to have to wear the same one. And I've probably got enough to wear, like, I don't know if I've got any new ones, that's the trouble. Well, QWERTY is where I get all my shirts from, mostly. And I have quite a big collection, actually, of shirts of stuff. But the other one was, I've got a Pluto one, which is quite cute and sad, but it's like, because Pluto's now looking like it's going to be part of the solar system again, I've not bothered wearing that from Knit. So last week, you may remember that I started brew time saying, what is going on, guys, and today, and all that other rubbish. I was supposed to explain that bit, because a lot of people kind of didn't really get it. The whole point was, it was a piss take out of generic gaming YouTubers that decide they want to put on this weird accent and just not talk properly. And there's quite a few of them I follow, and it's just like, just talk properly, for Christ's sake. Like, that's what I quite like about this, because I kind of just talk to you like you were down the pub or something. Like, I don't talk to you in this like weird, like I don't know, like do this like put on accent kind of, well, this voice they put on, it's weird. It's just like, just talk properly, for Christ's sake. So this is going to be filmed on the Wednesday, and it probably won't be uploaded until next Monday. So forgive me if I miss anything major, but I'm going to cover this now, and if I miss anything major, well, tough shit, maybe I'll have to create another one. Oh, before we get any further, actually, Lumia 1520 review is coming. I've keeping, bloody Travis Norton keeps hassling me about this. He's hassling me about the Lumia review. It's coming. I just need to edit it together. And I've got all this. I need to get, once EGX footage is out of the way, then it's done. So after brew time, after this brew time, hopefully there should be a Lumia review, and I'll link it at the end if there is. If not, well, we'll think about that. We'll cross that bridge. So two big bits, well, reasonably big bits of news: Nexus 9 and the Nexus 6. So Google officially announces today, which is the Nexus 9, which is going to be made by HTC this time around, which is quite cool. Running Android Lollipop, of course, which is going to be the new version of Android, so Android L. An 8.9-inch IPS LCD, 67 mAh battery, 8 megapixel rear facing camera, 1.6 megapixel front facing camera, a 64-bit Nvidia Tegra K1, 2.3 GHz, and a Kepler DX1 GPU. Comes in 16 GB and 32 GB flavours. Pre-orders start October 17th, which will be before brew time actually gets released. So, and it ships on November the 3rd, which is quite good. I don't know whether that's the UK though. I think that's just the US, which is kind of a bit weird. Nexus 6 being made by Motorola again, which is good. Well, obviously Motorola is now owned by Google anyway. It's got a 5.96-inch display, 1440 by 2560. Resolution 493 pixels per inch, and that's a 2K screen, so that's going to look effing amazing. Battery is a 3220 mAh battery, 13 megapixel rear facing camera with optical image stabilization, 2 megapixel front facing. It's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 quad core, 2.7 gigahertz, if I can actually talk. It's got Arduino 420 GPU, and it comes in 32 gigabytes and 64 gigabyte flavors. So I actually tweeted about this because I completely missed the fact that it was a 6-inch phone, and I forgot that. So I tweeted saying, oh, this something like, oh yeah, grab your hands or something, and actually because it's so big, I forgot that actually it's very, very large. I don't really see the point. I don't really see the... I mean, what... there was quite an interesting Forbes article, actually, about this, and I'll put the link in the description below, but they... what Forbes was basically saying was that they don't really see a market for the Nexus 6 because most consumers aren't going to be looking at a phablet. They're either going to have a tablet or they're going to have a phone. Most consumers won't have a big phone like that because, I mean, you look at the most people that are getting the iPhone, they're getting the iPhone 6, they're not getting the iPhone 6 Plus. Most people aren't looking for a big phone like that because it's too big. You can't actually comfortably use it. And yeah, some people like that kind of that size, but really it's not that. It's just too big. Like for me, it's too big. 6 inches is way too big. Make of that what you will. Again, that joke's never going to get old, is it? No. You know, 6 inches is just too big for a phone. I mean, you look at the Nexus 7, an inch bigger, and you could have like a fully fledged tablet, which you can still fit in your hand, but it's a bigger tablet. It's got a bigger screen, so you can do movie watching and everything like that in it. So it's like similar to the iPad. Actually, I think this has got an 8.2 inch screen. I can't remember the size of the iPad mini, but you know, it's kind of pointless going that size. You may as well get a dedicated tablet, like an iPad or something, and, you know, move that upwards and then have a smaller phone for your pocket. They're still going to keep the Nexus 5. Now, it was interesting. They didn't release another Nexus 5, or they didn't release kind of like a cheaper version. I think it's because Motorola do things like the Moto G, and they've got that brand nailed down. So for the cheaper stuff, that's still damn good. You mean, like, the Nexus line's always been like that, really. It's been the pinnacle of Android development and great hardware, fantastic price. I mean, the Nexus 5, I think you can pick up for, what's, 250 quid? Maybe a little bit less than that. Which is still a damn good price for a phone, considering most flagship models cost 400, 500, 600 quid. Depends on what size you want to get and everything else. So, that's quite interesting. Nexus 9, though, does look very, very good. I don't think I'm going to go out and buy one, because I own an iPad mini, and that really is the tablet I use. If I use a tablet, I've got a Nexus 7, the 2013 version, sitting around gathering dust. It's basically just my alarm, and I use it once in a blue moon for some stuff. But I don't really use it that much. I use it as a third screen monitor for my DSLR, but I don't really use it for anything else. And so because of that, I don't really see there any point getting that kind of size tablet. I mean, the specs, they're alright. I probably would go for something like the Sony, though. The Sony... Is it the Sony S3 Compact? Sony... Whichever the new compact... The Sony Z3 Compact, actually, might be called. Z3 Tablet Compact might be what it'd be called. Anyway, their tablet compact thing, because it's waterproof, and it looks great, and the spec's great, and the price is a little bit high, but, you know, it's great. So, yeah, if I was looking in the market for an Android tablet, which I wouldn't be, because the thing is... Android is still, at that level, you know, at the tablet level, it's still kind of rubbish. I don't like it as a tablet experience because it doesn't work very well. On a phone, it's different. Because on a phone, I'm on it all the time, and it doesn't really matter. And some of the stuff that I want to do on my phone is kind of quite advanced. You know, as an IT tech, I need to be able to do some funky things. On a tablet, mostly what I use the tablet for is web browsing for basic stuff. It's basically, I want to pick it up and I want to go. And with Android, you can't quite do that. Whereas with iOS, you kind of can. And yeah, and there's no point. I mean, the thing is, like, I've got the iPad mini. I got rid of my iPad, my standard iPad, because I was just like, you know, I just thought, well, I don't really use it and this, that, and the other. And then I kind of missed my iPad. So I got an iPad mini because it was smaller and it's kind of, you know, more lightweight and stuff. And then I bought a MacBook Air, and kind of my MacBook Air has kind of replaced my iPad, my full-size iPad. And I was tempted to replace that with an iPad for things like podcasts and movie watching and stuff like that. But you then sort of miss out on the macOS element of stuff. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get a Nexus 9 though, because it looks really great, but I don't really need another tablet. You know, I've already got a Nexus 7. I don't really need a bigger one. You know, the Nexus 9, Nexus 10 still exists somewhere. I think they've stopped that being sold in the shop at the moment, though. And obviously you've got things like the Galaxy Tab, that abysmal device that Samsung have released. But yeah, it's interesting, but not really, you know, worth doing. Yeah, the Nexus 6, anyway, I completely went off a tangent, anyway. I didn't mention the Forbes article about the Nexus 6, about them saying customers aren't going to get it. Basically, Google have turned around and said they want to release this because it will steer their manufacturers, their OEMs, into creating something else. So, which is kind of, you know, I guess that's kind of what Google does. You know, they release a Nexus device and everybody kind of follows suit with it because they can see kind of what's going on with it. And especially since like the Nexus stuff is developer devices, you know, they're kind of, that's quite good. I mean, for a developer's device, you know, the Nexus 9 and the Nexus 6 are bloody well, yeah, really, really good. I mean, like the Nexus 5, I mean, yeah, it's a great piece of engineering, but it wasn't really a very good thing to look at. But you look at the Nexus 9 and the Nexus 6, they are bloody stunning devices. You know, they're going up against the big titans in terms of design, which is great. And it's still a developer phone, you know, that's what it's designed for. That's what it was always designed for. So yeah, that's quite cool. Now I wanted to mention GamerGate again because I did a video on it, which you can see like up there probably because there's more space on the frame. Because Boogie 20,065, whatever he's called, big fat guy on YouTube anyway, great guy as well, by the way, fantastic bloke. I'm only saying he's a big guy on YouTube because it's kind of easy to identify who he is. But what's he called in real life? I'm just trying to think now. Okay, Francis he's called in real life. But yeah, anyway, he was. It sounds like he's been vilified by the GamerGaters and the feminists and everybody like that. So, but he's created a few really great videos, which I'm going to link in the description below about GamerGate and all this other kind of stuff. And I wanted to touch on it because I wanted to impart my opinions on it a little bit more and kind of go on to why it still exists and this, that, and the other. And because I know a lot of people don't give a shit about GamerGate, and it's kind of like I kind of want to sort of say why you should give a bit of a shit. So GamerGate kicked off because some feminists, well, she might have been a feminist, I don't know, some feminists created this game. It was a shit game. The press loved it, the public hated it, or the gamers hated it. She slagged off the gamers because the gamers were slagging off her game. The game was a shit game anyway, but the press said it was a great game. Then it transpired that this woman, who was called Zoe Quinn, was having an affair, was sleeping around with a load of editors of all these big news sites. And then sort of things progressed, things snowballed. The feminists got on board with this Zoe Quinn character, started saying all gamers were dead, and the media said that the gaming was dead and gamers were dead. The feminists got on board and said all gamers are misogynists. A load of nasty, horrible gamers decided to then tell all women to get back in the kitchen, and that was kind of that. And then we're at this kind of area now where it's like this has been going on for fucking months. And now we're at a place where the gaming media has calmed down, because it's realised that actually the gaming media this is because they slagged off gamers, which is kind of their demographic kind of people, so really pissing them off is not a good idea. And what's happened over the past couple of months is page rankings have dived off a precipice. We're not talking just gaming media outlets here, we're talking tech outlets as well, because this is basically the thing that GamerGate's all about is media corruption and making sure that the media have a code of ethics and are not going to, you know, sell themselves out to game studios or movie studios or TV studios or to the president or whoever, and that's kind of what it's about. I mean, GamerGate kind of surrounds the gaming press, but really it's a bigger issue, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's important, because, you know, the general mass media is crap. It really is shit. I mean, you look at just, well, even for instance the BBC News. The BBC News is basically the Daily Mail televised. That's what it is. And things like Engadget and The Verge and Kotaku and IGN and PC Gamer and all these other websites aren't creating good quality content about gaming or about the thing they're trying to sort of be about, and which is kind of okay. You do want a bit of variety there, but you don't want them to be kind of just being like social justice warriors and just say, oh yeah, you know, all 50% of gamers are all female, or whatever. This game here is supposed to be, I don't know, imparting some sort of view on society, because that's not what you go there for. You don't go there for that. You go there for what the latest and greatest games are. You go there for, you know, the reviews of games and whatever. And obviously the gaming media has been very biased over the years. I mean, you just look at IGN. Call of Duty is a shit game. This is the greatest example, which really pisses me off about GamerGate, but I should go on to that in a minute. Call of Duty is a shit game. It's been a shit game since, well, probably Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 is not bad, but after that, it really went downhill. And IGN, every year, without fail, gives it a high score. Why? Because it's a shit game. If you're an actual gamer, most gamers couldn't give a shit about Call of Duty, because if you find people that play Call of Duty don't really play much else. They don't really. They might do, but most of them don't. That's what they play. That's all they play, and they'll probably try and set up a bit of a YouTube thing, because that's usually what happens, but they don't play anything else. If you speak to, like, proper gamers, people that... I mean, I'd like to class myself as a proper gamer, but over the past year, I haven't probably gamed for ages. I mean, I do game still, but not properly, because I don't have the time, or the space, or the inclination to do it. By the time I do this, by the time I do EJX, by the time I do all this kind of stuff, by the time I work, by the time I commute home an hour each way, I don't have time to do it. But I still kind of class myself as a gamer. For a minute, because I used to be a gamer, and I still kind of am. I'm still passionate about games, I still love games, and it's still kind of my hobby and passion. So, you know, if you talk to proper gamers, not necessarily me, you just talk to anybody, you know, the people that actually play proper competitive games, things like League of Legends, things like World of Warcraft, things like Battlefield, things, you know, things like that. Counter-Strike Source, Counter-Strike, I'm just trying to think what else. Anybody that plays indie games, that kind of stuff. You know, proper gamers. We're not talking necessarily hardcore gamers, just general gamers. They don't like Call of Duty either. They might like it for the story, the multiplayer's okay, the multiplayer's fun, but it's really quite a shit game. You know, it's not the be-all and end-all. But IGN make it out as though it is. Now, I obviously made the mistake of tweeting the GamerGate hashtag, and I got then a load of GamerGate idiots deciding they were going to jump on the bandwagon and not attack me, but kind of stop banging on about this and the other thing. And I basically said to them, why is this thing sparked up all of a sudden? Because we've known, for the past 5 years, if not more, that the gaming media and tech media has been shit. It's really been crap. I mean, Call of Duty is a prime example, and IGN is a prime example. They give Call of Duty a high score every year. Why? Because it's a shit game. Everybody knows it's a shit game. If you actually play games, it's a shit game. And I'm not having this bloody... I know there's a few people that I know in real life that, you know, used to play Call of Duty religiously, and they're going to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you never played it properly enough. I've played it properly enough to know that it's a shit game. I've not played in the most recent ones because I gave up, because I didn't want to give Call of Duty I didn't want to give Activision any more of my money, because it's just a waste of a game. And I don't think I bought. When was the last? I might have bought Black Ops 2. That might have been the last game I bought. Actually, I might not have even bought that. I don't know if I did. But anyway, I haven't bought the... Well, what's the newest one? That's Advanced Warfare, I think, isn't it? Whichever the last one was, I didn't buy it, because it was just like, oh, well, there's no point. And I'm not excited about Call of Duty anymore. I think Modern Warfare 3 was a fun single player, and I like the single player campaigns, always great fun, but they don't last very long. But anyway, that's aside the point. You know, Call of Duty is a shit game. IGN always have given it a high score. That suggests there's something wrong with it, doesn't it? The likes of Kotaku, again, they just create random shitty articles about nothing that aren't really relevant to gaming, and yet it's all suddenly a surprise that, you know, they're in bed with everybody else. They're taking backhanders from, you know, all these kinds of gaming companies and stuff like that. Now, why should you care? Why should you really give a shit? Well, the reason you should care is because, you know, the media works for the public. The whole point the media exists is for news reporting, for critique, for giving information, for giving a kind of like a separate impartial judgment on a game, on a product, on a piece of news, current affairs, whatever. And if they lie to you, or if they don't tell the truth, they're betraying you, they're betraying the publishers of the game, they're betraying their demographic of people, whether or not that's tech people, you know, geeks, whether or not that's just members of the general public, whether or not that's gamers, whether or not that's people that, I know, play Warhammer or whatever. I think that was a bad example. But, you know, they're betraying those people because they're not reporting in a truthful way. And, you know, that is why it matters. And it's not to do with GamerGate. Fuck GamerGate. It's not about that. It's about the media as a whole. I mean, you just have to look at the Daily Mail or the Mirror or any of these detestable websites / newspapers. Well, I say newspapers, toilet roll, as I like to call it. Well, actually, it's not even that good. It's not good enough to be toilet roll, is it? It's not even that. It's just not even worthy of anything like that. But, you know, you just look at that, and it's crap reporting. It's full of lies. It's full of just bias. It's just crap. And that's happened within, you know, within tech websites, within gaming websites as well. And it's happened across the board. You know, just most websites nowadays don't actually have any impartial thing about it at all. There's a few that are still kicking around, but yeah. So that's why you should care, because it's it's about ethics within the media. It's about creating content that's truthful, factual, and that actually is relevant to the demographic you're targeting. And that's kind of it, really. And one of the great things that's happened over the past couple of months is the websites that have had any dealings with this kind of Gamergate scandal and have been accused of this and the other, their page ranking has dived, stupidly dived. I did a search for Nexus 9 and Nexus 9 and Nexus 6 on Google News, and none of the websites, things like Engadget, things like The Verge, things, those kinds of websites, none of those websites came up on the first page. CNET was there, ZNet was there, PC Gamer was there, which is a bit annoying, and there was like a load of other websites that I don't generally visit, which is great, you know, because usually the top page rankings are things like Kotaku, IGN, Engadget, and all that other kind of stuff. And page rankings have dived, which is great, because it means they're not getting so much ad revenue, which is also why Kotaku turned around and said, we're going to change the way we do games journalism, as opposed to looking at the future, we're going to look at the gaming industry now, or some rubbish, because they're afraid they're losing ad revenue left, right, and centre, which is what they are doing. Talking about ad revenue, make sure you disable that block on YouTube, please. I only keep saying that because I want to go to events. You know, this isn't me being a money whore. This is me trying to get some money together to go to events and go to meet people and do collaborations. Because CES isn't happening now. That's just not happening. Full stop. That's just not going to happen now. Unless I get some big sponsorships from somebody, but that's not going to happen. But yes, please disable our block. Actually, install. There's another one. There's AdBlock Plus. Is it called? It's called something else, and it doesn't. It blocks intrusive adverts, but not all of them. So it still allows websites to make money, which is kind of quite good. Because I think the original ad block's just a bit shit, because it's just saying, oh, everywhere just has to have no adverts at all, and this, that, and the other. Whereas there's a new version of ad block, which is a lot better. And it's quite good. I'll put a link in the description below, I think, about that. Anyway, that's that rant over. There's a few other bits I was going to mention as well. The Register have got quite an interesting article about kill off SSL 3.0 now, HTTPS savaged by vicious poodle. So, if you haven't already heard, the Register actually leaked, well, not leaked, but announced this yesterday. When was it? A couple of days ago, maybe? That said that there was going to be this announcement. Now, Google apparently had a big involvement with this in terms of the research that went behind it. So, basically, SSL3 is an old encryption thing that basically is supposed to stop eavesdropping on your connection. So, for instance, if I was to log into my banking website, tell them my username and password, it's supposed to be encrypted from me to the website so that anybody that was in between me and the website can't see my username and password and the stuff I'm entering. So if I'm on like public access Wi-Fi and someone's sniffing my packets, or if I'm on some illicit Wi-Fi connection and someone's trying to sniff my packets, then I'm encrypted via SSL. The thing is, SSL 3.0 is 18 years out of date, and it's not very secure. So most people now just use TLS, which is fine. But what's happened now is somebody's managed to find a fault in the way that SSL 3.0 is kind of put together. And when what it does, when you connect via TLS connection, a malicious hacker, let's call him a hacker, can pretend that there's a network outage or there's a network problem with TLS. And so what will happen is your client will drop it down to SSL 3.0 so that the hacker can then penetrate SSL 3.0 and kind of look at your data. Obviously, there's ways around this. Basically, Google Chrome is going to remove complete support for SSL 3.0, and also they've already implemented a thing within their web servers that basically means that you can't use SSL 3.0 even if you wanted to. So this is going to be, which is fine because it is 2014 and nobody should care because most people should have a modern operating system and a modern browser. But what it's going to mean is that if you're on XP or IE6, aka most of the NHS in England, you're not going to be able to access a lot of websites that use SSL, well, that used to use SSL 3.0 or use any encrypted, TLS kind of encryption between you and the website. So yeah, I'll put the link in the description below of the link to that as well, but that's quite an interesting read as well if you want to read up on that. There's another Register article entitled "Microsoft Left Red-Faced After DMCA's Dished Out to Windows Bloggers. Tech YouTubers Might Want to Stop Talking About Windows." So, I have to say, like, the Register, if you're fed up of general news reporting, things like the Gadget, Engadget, The Verge, all that kind of shit. Check out the register. It looks like an awful website on the outside. There's no pretty pictures, but it's a fucking amazing website. It really is. They don't give a shit. They talk they say what they want. They're absolutely fantastic. I love the register. It's a UK-based site. It's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, yesterday there was a big thing from some of the fucking cunts that are on YouTube who was banging on about it. Wilson Tech 1 was banging on about it. Chris Perullo was banging on about it. Mark, what's his face, the black guy that does Soldier Knows Best, he was banging on about it as well. Actually, I don't mind Soldier Knows Best. He's alright, but all the other ones can go and I just have so much detestment for Wilson Tech 1 and Chris Perullo, because they're just, I don't know, they just annoy me too much. Anyway, yeah, what Microsoft have decided to do was force load DMC takedown requests, because they changed the way that they dish out DMCA requests and how they automatically detect illegal videos on YouTube, for instance. And what had happened was apparently there was a few illegal keys kicking around in the comments, so as opposed to Microsoft contacting the person that created the video and asking them to remove the comments or flagging the comments, they just sent a DMCA takedown notice and said, you're in violation of Microsoft stuff. For silly things like when Windows 8 was around as a beta, it showed you how to go and grab the keys for Windows 8 when it was in beta back ages ago. Same with Windows 7, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of quite weird and interesting, and Microsoft have kind of released a big apology saying, oh no, shit, we shouldn't have done that. And so yeah, that's kind of a bit annoying. It is always really annoying, like on YouTube, especially like for something like me that's really small. I've had it a few times where you upload some, like this is why I don't upload gameplay, because it's such a fucking pain in the ass, and the copyright claims are ridiculous and stuff. It's alright if you go to EGX, because if you go to EGX, you get the permission from the person that you've interviewed anyway to use their content, so it's fine. But if you just generally reporting stuff, you kind of have to get permission, and it's really dodgy. So I don't usually upload gameplay, because most of the time you get bloody aggro for it, and you say, oh well, you're not allowed to do this, or you're allowed to use that content, but you're not allowed to advertise it, which is fine. You know, I don't care too much about the money, but it's just a pain, and then it like goes against your record, and then you don't have a good rating. My rating at the moment is outstanding for everything in terms of the YouTube copyright claims and stuff. But yeah, so that's quite interesting. The final thing I wanted to end on was London Underground's futuristic new trains are going to be driverless and everything like that. This is a Huffington Post thing, because I tried to find a proper article about it. The only ones I could find were from Wired, The Verge, who else? It might have been Engadget as well, maybe. Oh, the Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror, all that other shitty website. So I chose the Huffington Post because that was kind of the best one I wanted to find, that I wasn't going to give money to anybody else or clicks or anything like that to. It sounds like really like conspiracy theorist of me and tinfoil hat, but I don't care. So London Underground's new trains, they absolutely look fantastic. I mean, admittedly they are supposed to last 40 odd years, so they look really futuristic, but they are supposed to last 40 years, which is ridiculous. Like, that's 40, I mean, you think 40 years time, I'm going to be, what age am I now, 23? I'm going to be 63 in 40 years. I may or may not be retired. That is ridiculous. And, you know, but it's kind of fair enough, because to be fair, you know, you look at the London Underground now, that's roughly how long most of them have been in service, if not way before that. So, you know, a lot of them have been, you know, introduced during the 70s and stuff, and even before that, the 60s. Probably no 50s trains left anymore, but, you know, if you go on a lot on the, was it like things like the Piccadilly, is it the Piccadilly line? And I'm just trying to think what some of the older lines are. But anyway, if you go on the Bakerloo line, and what's the other one? Is it not Hyde Park line? The one that goes from Paddington to the District and Circle lines, you know, they're quite modern trains anyway. You know, they've been revamped, I think, within the past couple of years, so, or at least in the past 10 years. But yes, Transport for London are going to spend £2.5 billion on these new trains. They do look effing amazing. They're going to be driverless in the future, so eventually they're going to be like the Docklands Light Railway, whereby you just don't have any driver, you just have a train and it's automated and stuff like that, which is good. At the moment they're not going to do that. At the moment they're going to keep all the drivers they have on at the moment, because this is basically the guarantee, is basically every driver that's in employment now will still be in employment by the time they retire, because it'll take that long to deploy obviously all the trains, and they're still, and all the new trains are still going to have a driver in it for the minute until they figure out how to automate it and stuff like that. I do like automation, however, I don't like automation when things go wrong. Now, given the fact this is the government we're talking about, I don't quite know how they're going to lock it down. Because in theory, you could probably, if you had physical access to the London Underground, you could probably hack around the signals, because it's all old school stuff and they didn't care about encryption. You could probably hack around with a lot of stuff. You could probably hack around with station designs. You could probably hack around with a lot of other things like that. So if they're going to automate it, they need to bloody make sure their security's tight. I mean, really, you kind of want a closed-loop system. So it's not connected to anything. It's just connected to itself. And it's not connected to the internet. It's not connected to anything but itself. That's what they should do, but obviously you still then, if someone's got physical access to it, you still need to make sure it's encrypted so that if somebody does somehow get into your, server room or like a data comms cabinet that's at a station, it's all encrypted. So that is quite interesting. I think if somebody really wanted to, they probably could hack around with a lot of the automated stuff we've already got. Now, I'm not expecting terrorists to do that because they haven't got the inclination or the know-how, really, because most of them are a bunch of bloody idiots. I mean, they can't organise a piss in a brewery if they're drunk, which actually I think most of them do, don't they? Because they're pretending to be filthy Westerners or something. But anyway, I'd like so maybe like foreign governments might look at trying to hack around with stuff, but it's unlikely. You look at something like the Russians might try it. But anyway, that's by the by. 250 are on order, and they're going to have walk-through carriages. So basically, you're going to have none of the old school ones where you're not allowed to walk through the carriages. You can walk through it like it's a tunnel, which is really good, especially at busy times when there might be quieter carriages around about. There's some new metro trains. I don't know where it is. It might be in Canada, maybe, where they've got. Well, it might actually even be in the new driverless trains for TfL as well, but. They'll have they've got weight, they've got scales in each carriage, and along the top it'll tell you which carriage is least empty. So during busy times you can move down the carriage, if you can move, that is, to somewhere that's a little bit quieter, which is quite good. It's quite interesting, and yeah, it's kind of quite a cool piece of tech, which I said way too much in that Nvidia Shield It video. Thanks to everybody for pointing that out. It's also going to be air cooled, so they're going to try and have this air cooling system that's going to cool the tunnels and is going to cool the train to make it more efficient at cooling everything else of that. Because obviously if you ever go on the tube, especially some of the older lines, it gets stupidly hot on the tube, especially in the summer. I mean, even when I was down in September for EGX, it was still bloody hot. Especially on the tube, which is nice because it's kind of like good. You go into the tube and it's kind of it's nice and warm, but it still kind of can be unbearably hot, especially if you have to travel on it for any length of time, and especially in the summer. In the summer, it can be just ridiculous. It can be 50 degrees on the tube, and you can be sweating your arse off. So yeah, that's quite cool. That is pretty much it. There's nothing to really end on apart from donations. PayPal@azitchill.com. I don't like asking about this, but I kind of have to because of all the stuff I want to do. And yeah, also if you haven't watched my EGX coverage, check the description below because I will put that in there. Check out all my EGX stuff. There's a playlist on my channel anyway. Because the reason I mention that is because Brewtime gets about 150 views ish, give or take. On average, and my EGX coverage has got like about 50-80 views, so make sure you check all that stuff out because actually it's really good content. It's better than this shit. But yes, PayPal donations please, because I want to be able to go and tour the country, go and visit a few of you, do some more interesting stuff, go to events like EGX. I'm going to EGX Res in March anyway, but go to more events like that. So CES isn't happening now because of job security, because of money, and yeah, and also because of lack of contacts, and it's just kind of going to be a bit too tight to get everything like that together. So it's kind of a bit annoying. But yes, please, donations, even if it's £1, even if it's 10p, I don't care. Anything's better than nothing. It's kind of, for a minute, I'm looking at trying to use that money for maybe a better lens, maybe a better camera, maybe investing in some audio equipment. It kind of depends how much I get together. If I have £1,000, then yeah, it'll be a camera. If I have less than that, then it's probably going to be to pay for hotels and travel around the country. I'm planning on trying to go to some places, maybe around November, December time, probably in the new year. I might go up to Newcastle, I might go up to Birmingham, I might go up to Manchester, I might go to London again, and meet some of you guys, maybe do some collab stuff, either if you have a YouTube channel, if you don't have a YouTube channel, and kind of go from there. So yes, that's kind of pretty much it. So apart from that, I shall catch you in a later video.
So I'm here at EGX with Mike Bithell, who is creator of Thomas Was Alone. We're just going to talk to him about how he got into the industry and how sort of you guys as sort of young, ambitious kinds of people who want to get into the gaming industry. So, sort of, can you give us a bit of background as to what you do now, and then kind of go from there?
Yeah, so I'm an independent game developer. I made Thomas Was Alone, which was a very pretentious platformer. I'm now making Volume, which is a stealth game. They come out on everything. You can Google them. They're doing okay.
So I'm here at EGX with Nick from Razer. What sort of stuff are you showcasing at Razer today?
Okay, so what we're doing here at EGX is we're showing off pretty much everything that Razer does. So we've got console stuff running, we've got a lot of PC peripherals running, which is obviously the core part of our business. We've got our amazing Razer bus here, which is running everything. And the idea basically is that we get everyone to come along, they can try out the Razer products. We've even got them retailing here. We're launching our fall and winter clothing range here as well. And we're just showing everybody what Razer is as a whole and how awesome we are.